Carvalho Chapter 5. Mandana did not get the job, nor did he get married, and he could not present his petition to the Honorable Minister in person. I was myself a witness to this. Adjacent to the Mudikere petrol bunk, there's the Taluk Development Office. At the back of the office, in the vast open ground, the Honorable Minister was scheduled to address a public meeting. And as it happened to be 15th August, flag hoisting came first on the agenda. Then his speech, then receiving petitions from aggrieved persons, etc. I had gone to Mudikere to get some petrol for the sprayers. When I was in the bunk, a man dressed in khaki greeted, "Namaskara, sir." Shocked, I took a second to get a hold on myself and then looked at him. Whom do I see but Mandana? A peaked cap with feathers in it adorned his head. "What's this, Mandana?" I asked. "Sir, I was in the scout movement once, and today we are going to present the Honorable Minister with a guard of honor," he proclaimed. Behind him were a few more, dressed in the same fashion, obviously his friends. They carried with them drums, bugles, and cymbals, which they all shouted in unison, "Namaskara, sir," and marched towards the field. Soon after, a car sporting a flag sped towards the travelers' bungalow. It was followed by a police jeep, a motorbicycle, and a few cars belonging to the big men of our town. Now that the Honorable Minister had arrived, I thought I could as well stay on and watch the show. The Honorable Minister walked towards the flagpole slowly with a solemn face, and kept nodding his head wisely when those near him whispered into his ears. As he stood erect near the base and looked up, the microphone blared out a voice. "Please stand up. The Honorable Minister will now unfurl the national flag." The Honorable Minister looked around and then pulled the string. The flag, unfurled, began to flutter majestically in the air, and thousands of rose petals came floating down and fell on the spectators. The very instant Mandana and his scout friends blew their bugles, beat their drums, and crashed the cymbals. And Mandana, carrying the drum suspended from his neck, he looked like a pregnant woman, and he was beating it away like mad. The walls and windows of the Taluk office shook under the impact of the terrible din he was creating. The hills and the forest around echoed and sent back waves of reverberating noise. The murderous commotion disturbed the bumblebees in their hives at the Taluk office, and they, getting angry, buzzed and flew around. They hit against the flag, stung the stocky Honorable Minister and the police and the bigwigs and the drum-beating Mandana and boys and girls and the women folk and lookers on. Frightened, they ran helter-skelter. Mandana stumbled and fell and rolled down the road along with his drum, making a hideous noise. A few randy bulls, raising their tails high in the air, chased the people and added to the din and confusion. I now say that all this was occasioned by Mandana beating his drum, but then neither I nor the others knew the cause. I met Carvalho later on, and it was he who revealed it. Like live arrows, the bees came and stung people like mad. And men and women ran shouting through lanes and by lanes. The Honorable Minister's bear-like face now looked like a monkey's, and since it was an honorable minister, understandably, the police immediately swung into action. Some half a dozen high school urchins laughed in glee at the discomfiture of the police, who had lost their turbans and were dancing in pain. These boys were later arrested and charged with the crime of inciting a riot. It kept them shut to Chikmagaluru law courts for over 6 months. Even the elderly people were unsympathetic to the schoolboys and commented, "The little devils, they got what they deserved. Thank God we wanted to go, but by God's grace we didn't."